Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Steve Petrotto, here with my good friend, Mr. Tom Cogswell, and this morning we are here to talk about a very exciting radio from Spektrum, the new DX5C, one of the most feature-packed and inexpensive radios the Spektrum team has ever offered.
Yes.
So, Tom, let's jump into the feature set. I know there's a lot here, so we'll kind of go through it. We're not going to spend all day on this, but give me some of the best features that are in this radio.
Right out of the box. I mean, I would say on top of all the competition, it's got a servo monitor. That's pretty new. First C radio to have a servo monitor. Real good for people that are just kind of testing out, trying to figure out, okay, what direction things are going, what values am I running? Am I running too much endpoints, whatnot? Sure. So that's great for that. Another thing that I really love is on-the-fly adjustments, or what we call OTF. On-the-fly adjustments, what that does is it allows you to assign rates, exponential, even AVC gains and priority to one of the trim switches, and you'll see that there are 7 assignable switches. So
quite a few.
Absolutely.
Especially for a radio that's, what, 110 bucks?
110 bucks. So that you bring that up, that's good. So on the fly, well, we'll finish up on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just excited, man.
Me too.
It's a great price.
Yeah.
And it really reminds me kind of like on the air side. I'm more of an air guy, but this radio with being able to assign to that many switches for a car guy is really exciting.
Yeah, so even if you are an air guy, you will find this very familiar, the interface with the air radios. It's largely based upon our air radios, which works great. It's the best interface out there. A lot of people would argue that. So on-the-fly adjustments, great for adjusting gains, steering rates. So let's say you're driving, you feel like your steering is too sensitive. Just a click of the trim switch, you turn it down. It's great.
Nice.
Like I mentioned.
So,
great. The brake rate. Oh, brake rate. We got somebody else chiming in over there. So even the brake rate, like let's say you brake too hard and it wants to flip over your car, you don't have to pull it up next to you and turn it down on your radio.
Gallery.
You've got trims for that.
So as far as the interface, Tom, I mean, I know you guys will try to show the camera here, but if you're into Spektrum radios at all, you've seen this kind of menu. And I don't know, is that a good angle for you there? So, this menu is very familiar to our, all of our DX air radios, our DX6, our DX9, DX18. That menu is super simple to understand and to program. And for the car guy, you've got a few less things, but on this radio, you've got, like you said, AVC, dual rate expo, travel adjustments, all there on the fly. There's no extra buttons to push. It's literally scroll, click, and that's it. And it makes it super easy.
Absolutely.
Just like our air radio. So, and for a radio of this cost, now, we had the radio before this, which was the 4C.
DX4C.
And I think we got that there. And you guys
right
can
here.
kind of see the difference between these two radios. Obviously, new generation and update in features, but the 4C was a little different layout. The screen was on the side, so ergonomically you had to kind of turn the radio to look at the screen while you were needing to adjust it. This radio, it's on the back, just like the rest of the family of newer radios from Spektrum. So when you're on the driver's stand, it's easy to see. You look down, the screen's quite tall. I would say that's almost a 2-inch tall screen there.
Yep.
And that's just rough numbers. I'm sure there's a specific millimeter number,
yeah,
but you got a nice 2-inch screen there. You look down at the
50
driver's
millimeters.
stand. Okay, well there you go. But that makes a big difference compared to the 4C, and I'll just hold them up here together. You guys can kind of see the difference there. Big difference in screen size, and again, the ergonomics. So speaking of ergonomics, on a radio of this cost, typically you're just kind of locked in, right? On this radio, you're not. Is that right? So let's jump into some of that.
So we're talking about the price.
Talking about the price, but I'm talking about also what can I adjust on this? Is there a steering wheel adjustment? Is there grip adjustments? I mean, what can I do here?
No.
No? All right.
We will have different steering wheels. You could actually take the steering wheel from the 5R or the 6R and put it on this guy. That's about all we have right now. Really no. Oh.
See, I know there's more in this radio.
There is. Well, that's something that the 4C had as well. It does have a screw on the bottom for adjusting spring tension. Actually, out of the box, it feels really good. So I don't know if you really need to, but it's there if you want to make it tighter or looser.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right. What else?
What else? Well, one other thing that's new with this radio that I don't think you'll see anywhere else in this price range is Servo Speed. That's something that a lot of crawler guys will use. I like using it for FPV stuff. I'm big into FPV surface. If I put a servo or a camera on a servo, I don't want it going as fast as my steering servo. I can slow it down.
and that's real easy. It's right there.
Even for the crawler guy too, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's something that they would use.
Right.
So again, this radio is not just, it's not the pro level racer guy, it's not the crawler guy, it's not the weekend guy, it's everybody.
It's everybody.
And if you're looking for a low cost radio or a radio that's right about $100, it's really, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else we want to talk about? The
one thing that I would talk about is that it has a calibration screen. Calibration is new for this. You've seen it in like the 3R Pro, 4R Pro, the 6R and the 5R also have it. This is the first lower end computer radio to have a calibration screen. Now, why is that important? Let's say you drop it off the driver's stand. It is really durable, but sometimes the pots can get knocked out of calibration. Instead of having to send it to us to fix it, you can do it yourself. So if you feel like something's off center and you made a new model, you can calibrate it and be like, okay, everything's good to go.
All right. So speaking of, actually one of the comments I saw earlier was model memory. So I know it has model memory. It's easy to jump between vehicles. It's easy to jump, like on our air radio, it's easy to jump between airplanes.
Let me show you how easy it is.
Let's do it. Well, first tell us how many models we can save.
There are 20 models on this radio that you can put up, and there's 2 buttons on the back, right between, or on the sides of the scroll wheel. If you press both of those buttons at the same time, just like our air radios, it brings you to the model select screen.
Okay, so
real easy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just go scroll down, click, back at next car up. If your next car we want to move or use, you're ready to go.
Whatever you want to drive.
All right.
It is at your fingertips. Yes.
Let's see. Let's talk about some of the things about. Well, did you cover all the features, you think? Do you want to hit on anything else before we jump into kind of availability and all
obviously, it's got full AVC support, like we were mentioning with On the Fly.
Yeah.
You've got steering gain, you've got throttle gain, and you've got AVC priority. So if you guys understand that, if you use AVC, that is a great value to you.
Yeah.
It makes it really easy. It's got a dedicated menu to it.
Even if you've used AVC in the past and you didn't have a radio, let's say it was more of a ready-to-run style truck, you didn't have a radio that can adjust it, you didn't quite like the way the gyro setup felt or the priority felt. You know, I've been playing around with the low-C rock ray, and I have a DX5R, obviously, before this was out. But that's really easy to adjust it. But in this same way, for a radio that's several $100s cheaper, you can adjust all those same settings on the fly. And I know, like for me, you know, sometimes I don't want the throttle to come off as hard as it does on like a 3S rock ray is quite fast. On the dirt, it's always coming out of the throttle. Sometimes you want to do donuts, and so you just turn down that throttle priority, and you can easily do it on this radio. So if you haven't played with AVC, or you have and you haven't really adjusted it, maybe you didn't like the way it was set up from the developer, now you can go in there and mess with the settings pretty quickly. It's just really nice. Anything else you want to talk about there? I'm looking for questions, guys. If you have questions while we're talking here, please put them in the Facebook comment chat, or if you're on YouTube, send them there, and they'll get them over to us here at the table.
I did see one question where someone was like, "Hey, I'm a Futaba guy, but I'm looking to change over. I want to join the dark side. What can this offer to make you want to change?" Well, the user interface is so much more simple, and it's a lot better of a screen. I've looked at and I've played with like I hate to name drop, but the Futaba 3PV. I mean, it looks like it's a calculator from the 80s on the screen. Ours is really nice. It's full function. It's got little graphics on it. When you do crawlers, it's got little graphics that show which wheel is selected. We put every last ounce of what we could do into this radio for the price range. So that's one thing. On top of that, and this is one thing that I'm surprised that Futaba and Sanwa do, is that they don't use their fastest, best protocol in their lower end radios. They don't. We use DSMR. DSMR receivers come with this model, whereas they use, what is it, like FHSS on their lower end radios?
Sure.
And then you have to spend $500 to get their fast system, or anybody else. I mean, it seems like that's the norm, whereas we don't, we break the boundaries on that.
So speaking of receivers, there's 2 ways to buy this radio, correct?
Right.
So let's jump into that. With I know you can buy it with one receiver or the other. One's an AVC receiver, one is not. Is that right? Right. So let's hold these 2 up here. You can go ahead and talk about these while I'm holding these here for the camera.
So there are 2 price range, $109.99 for the 415. This is our Sport 4-channel receiver. Just your basic, throw it in there and go. And then the $129.99 to the $130 price range comes with our newest AVC receiver. It's a 6-channel AVC receiver. Before they were 4 channels, and you had to use 2 channels were dedicated for AVC. Now you have 4 channels plus 2 channels that you can use for AVC adjustment.
right out of the box. So if you've got a crawler that's got dual motor or whatever you want to put on, like lights that turn off and on, you have that option now with AVC.
Yeah. So
it's a great value.
One of the questions I kind of see here is, can you go through some of the major differences between the 5C and the 5S? And maybe, I know it's a price point change.
5S?
Or sorry, 5R. He said 5S, but I think he means 5R.
Okay.
Yeah.
Main differences, the 5R has ergonomic changes that you can do, like a drop down. You can change the angle of the wheel. It has an SD card. This one doesn't use an SD card where you can share models. Bigger screen. The 5R has a bigger screen. I think it's got a couple more menu options, mixing options, things like this. This still has crawler mixes, but not quite as many. Like motor on axle, you can do it with the mixes, but it's not labeled motor on axle. Other than that, here's the big one is, and I don't know if anybody really is going to be put off by it, it doesn't have telemetry. So whereas the 5R has telemetry.
You know, and that's okay though. I mean, there's a price point there. If people don't want to spend the money for that 5R,
yeah,
they're going to look at something like this, and maybe they don't care about telemetry. If you're just a basher and you go until the battery dies, which is kind of what I do, then you don't need telemetry. Your telemetry is when the car stops running, then you know your battery's dead.
Yeah.
But no, again, there's a price point for everything. That's why there's a Mercedes versus a Honda out there. So I think that's a completely normal thing. So one of the other questions I saw was, does this case, which we haven't talked about, come with the radio?
Oh, why do we have this case here? So it doesn't come with the radio, but it is a case that we sell that you can fit the radio in.
Okay. So in this particular one is it says DX6R.
It's DX6R. We sell it multi-purpose. It fits the 5R, the 5C, and the 6R.
Yeah.
But perfect enough for that.
An inexpensive case. You can throw your receivers in there, maybe a battery, a couple of leads, your charging cables, that kind of stuff in there, and you've got your radio protected when you go to the field or go to the track.
Yep.
I know I have one of these for my radios. It's a good investment for sure to take care of your prized radio possession.
Yeah, so you got to keep it clean. It helps keep it clean. I always leave my radios out and they get dusty. I should use my cases more often.
Yeah, and just to kind of go back on the 5C and 5R conversation, Mr. Dunford chimed in on the comments. If you guys didn't read the comments, but he was saying the DX5R has 5.5 milliseconds, 11 and 22,
right,
whereas the 5C just has 11 and 22. So you're going to get that 5.5 millisecond range on the higher end radio, which is to be expected.
Right, and 5.5 millisecond, for people that are unfamiliar with that, is latency. It's how fast from when I steer that the car reacts. Now,
right.
I mean, 11 milliseconds, that's really fast, but the guy that's going 80 miles an hour around the track, he wants that 5.5. He should probably get the 5R.
So, and then another question here that popped up was, can I use it with older receivers?
Absolutely. It is DSM2 backward compatible. So when you bind to a DSM2 receiver, it's going to default to 22 milliseconds, I believe. So it's going to go to that slower frame rate, but it does work with DSM2 receivers. Not DSM receivers like our older first generation Spektrum surface receivers. So kind of keep that in mind, but it is DSM2 backward compatible.
Okay. And yeah, again, price point, guys, $110. If you're just jumping on now, this radio's all these things considered for $110.
$110 with a 4-channel receiver.
Yep.
Takes AA's, which is great. I know a lot of people prefer AA's. Some people like to have a lithium battery as an option. This one does not have that, so just kind of clear that up. But it does have a battery door that you can open up and just change out the AA's. Very simple.
And what's kind of the battery life in your experience with AA's on a radio like this?
Man,
it's quite a while, right?
Quite a while, yeah. I'd say 6 to 8 hours.
Of just
20 hours? Dustin's saying 20 hours.
Yeah. I have an older 4R, and I don't drive a lot, guys, so keep that in mind.
Okay.
But I think I've had the same AA's in that radio for like a long time.
Oh,
should probably go look in the basement.
I'll be honest, I left one of these on overnight, and it was good in the morning. So,
yeah. I mean, it's super low current draw on a screen like that, and the RF deck and everything involved. So you're not going to be changing AA's every time you take your car out. That's definitely not an issue at all.
And that brings up one other thing. It does have a battery alarm. So if your batteries do run low, it'll start buzzing at you saying, hey, battery's low, change it out. It also has an inactivity alarm. So like I did, I left for the night, I left my radio on. It was buzzing all night. It was saying, hey, turn me off. And nobody did, but hey, it's there to remind you left your radio on.
Yeah. So guys, I don't see a whole lot of other questions here. I'm just kind of scrolling through. Again, pop up a question if you've got one. I think we've covered everything pretty well. Is there anything else, Tom, that we're missing here?
I mean, I would say if you're an entry-level crawler guy that's looking for a computer radio that can do pretty much anything a crawler can do, this is your go-to. Beyond that, racing guys that are getting started, great radio for that as well.
So I see you guys popping in questions, so thanks for that. Yeah, 20 model memory. The amount of switches that this radio has are 7.
7.
So 7 switches, and those are going to be oriented around where your thumb is, your left thumb, and you're also around your steering wheel. So really easy to access everything without moving your hands. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, and Mr. Dunford, thank you for kind of textualizing these responses in the comments there,
Thanks,
so everyone can see those. Let's see, last one here. This radio would be totally fine for a Basher RTR replacement radio. Yeah, actually,
Absolutely.
that's the perfect reason. If you've bought a ready-to-run truck, a car, boat, and you want to upgrade your radio without breaking the bank, by all means, this is really a good radio for you if you want to start playing with extra settings, or you just want something that you know you're going to grow with and be totally fine.
Oh yeah.
If you don't plan on going pro, you'll never need another radio.
Yeah, like Steve was saying, he's got a Rock Ray, super fast car. It kind of is. I mean, on 3S, you want to turn the throttle gain down.
Yeah.
This is what you need.
Yeah, the AVC, the ability to do it, and I never really, again, being an air guy and getting into cars as much as I am now, being able to adjust that on the fly is really fun. Mm-hmm. It's nice to play with the priority, and if you don't know what that means until you play with it, I'm not going to explain it to you, but until you play with it, you're going to go, oh, that's what that means. I get it now.
Right.
You know, this is how the car feels when I change this. Just like when we're flying quads, when we change a gain setting, we know how the quad reacts and feels. It's the same exact setup on AVC, just in a car. So it's a really nice setup there. All right, going back up to the top here.
So we're looking at Facebook comments right now.
Yeah.
If there's anybody that's commenting on YouTube, we're not seeing those, but we have somebody that's going to shout them out to us. And she says no. So.
Okay. And then is this in the rebate program for the trade-up program right now? I don't believe it is.
It is not, because it's not going to be available during the trade-up program. I mean, that's one reason. Plus, normally we don't have brand new products promoted.
And then speaking of that, when is this going to be available? I mean, that's a big question.
Late November, early December, somewhere around there.
So put it on your holiday wish list.
Yes.
Get it for Christmas. Get this under the tree, for sure. That's good. That's really good. Getting it in this year, guys. So if you're excited about this, you're ready to move up, definitely get this on your wish list.
Yeah, we've been really excited about this one.
Yeah, no, this is a great release for the Spektrum team, great release for the industry, for people who want to move up into a good radio or just have something that's a little newer in their box. So.
Yeah, you don't have to have dozens of radios for your dozens of cars. You can have one radio. 20
Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We hope this helped you kind of learn the DX5C. If you have any further questions, please comment or shoot us a line, and have a great weekend.
Thanks,
Tom. See ya.
You're welcome.